What if I told you you can now craft armor worth hundreds of thousands inside of the forge? That is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm going to show you guys how you can craft yourself armor that is literally worth as much money as I have right now. And no, I'm not joking. You can make more than the amount I have on me. To do this, you actually don't really need anything too insane. But if this video does help you guys out and you find something that you may have not known before, please go ahead and subscribe. It means the world to me. We're trying to get to 550k subscribers by the end of this month. So make sure you subscribe. Thank you. And also, I'm always giving away tons of rerolls to subscribers. So if you want a ton of rerolls for me to be gifting to you, make sure that you are subscribed. So to start off with this method, you are going to need a bunch of ores. Now, these ores can actually be anything in the game. However, the better the ores, the way better this method is. If you guys don't know, with the brand new update, the developers decided to add one brand new ore, which is ridiculously overpowered. If we actually go ahead to go to the index, you will find to see this ore right here, the coinite ore. Now, you might be wondering, why is this thing having a 1 times multiplier and a sell price of 300? This coinite ore I originally thought was just going to be some ore that, you could use to profit some money off of, but no, it's not like that at all. Although you can profit tremendously off of this ore works a little bit differently. If you take a look at this, you can see this is a list of all of the ores and their traits, whether that's 10% or 30% inside of the game. And I believe this ore is somewhere on the list. Where is it, bro? Oh, yeah, right here, coinite. And as you can see, for some reason, it says this thing has nothing and it sells for a good amount. Now, shout out to this person who typically makes these lists because their information is accurate. However, they did miss out on one very important part about this thing. This ore does have a trait, and that trait is actually a sell multiplier. Yes. If I were to go to the forge and place in, let's say, I believe 10% of this item. So let's say 10% of, like, let's just put 1 in. And then I'm going to put in like 9 Welchires, right? If I were to make this is 10% of the value right here. With that 10%, the thing I would sell would have a 1.5 times multiplier. And for any amount past that, that number obviously increases. Now, using the forge calculator, I am able to go ahead, set it to armor, and place this coinite thing in. So let's go ahead and just throw in like 10 of them, right? And as you can see, with this having a 100% composition, it has a 15 times sell multiplier. And this is different than an additive percent. When you actually place some ores on your armor and stuff, they can give you traits such as 20% extra movement speed. That is plus 20%. This is times 15. So what that basically means, if I were to sell, for example, this Tide Carve armor, right? This thing is worth 10,000 right now. What this thing does is basically takes this exact number right here and multiplies it by 15. So this would be worth 160,000. If you don't believe me, let me show you as a little tiny example. Now, I don't have too many of these right now. As you can see, I have 7 of the coinite. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is do a tiny little example. And I'm basically going to try to make this a 33% type thing. So for my first test, I'm going to just go ahead throw in 3 Welchires where, it's basically 33% per Welchire. And this is going to give me 100% because I have only 3 of them in, and I should only get the bonus movement speed. And the reason why we're doing this is just to test to see if this actually works, and then I'm going to show you how you can maximize on it. So here we go. Let's go throw in these 3 things. I'm going to just make a dagger. Why not? I guess we can go ahead do a sword. Obviously, the value on this is going to be tremendously low because it's not a very heavy type thing, so it's fine. We just need to get a perfect one. I want to get 100% masterwork, so that way it matches exactly the next one I'm going to make. As you can see, the value of this soul dagger is going to be 467. Hey, bro, I do not want to see no 6-7 comments, okay? We got to stop that, guys. It's 2026. But now, if I go ahead and do this exact same thing, except I remove one Velchire, and instead I add a Coin Knight, this should be 33% of the value. Now, as you can see, when I do remove the Coin Knight and I add it in, it definitely does lower the multiplier over here, but this should still cancel out by a lot. Like, this item that I craft right now should be worth more. And that is because with just one Coin Knight in, we have 33% of the composition, which gives us that 15 times sell value multiplier. Let's test that out. Now, on this thing where it said, how does the Coin Knight bonus work? It does say it seems that the Coin Knight does not grant its full bonus with just a single unit. So technically, this might not work just because we're using one, but I'm still very curious to test it out. So YOLO, there we go. It's still 33%, and I'm gonna go ahead and get perfection on this thing because it's the exact same dagger, and that is what I was kind of hoping to get. Now, keep in mind, the multiplier is lower, so I'm not gonna expect it to be exact, but it should be more. And that is assuming that, you know, a single unit does count, aka not what it says right now. But let's see the multiplier. Does it work on this? And yes, as you can see, this is priced higher. Obviously, it's not the 15 times multiplier. Like, if you want to get that 15 times multiplier, not only are you gonna have to put in more Coin Knights, but you're basically gonna just have to use heavy resources. By that, I mean you need to be able to craft stuff or have enough Coin Knight, such as like 10, which I don't have, in order to be able to like put in 30 of these Velchires and then be basically guaranteed a heavy piece of armor. But you're probably wondering, how can you get all these resources and what is the best combination you can actually put in? I actually went ahead and did some decent testing, and one thing I can tell you, your goal amount of Coin Knights that you want to have is going to be between 8 and 9. Personally, if you want your chances to be higher of you, for example, getting a heavy piece of armor, you're gonna want to use 9. Although I should say you are most likely guaranteed a heavy piece of armor anyways, so it's just really up to you if you want to go for more Coin Knight or, you know, save more. But for the rest, you want to go get stuff that has a very high multiplier and actually doesn't drag you down. So, for example, if you were able to put in 20 something of these gargantuans, like you would want to put in around, I want to say 20-ish. With 20, this does leave you some chances of, you know, getting medium stuff. However, if you want to go a little bit higher to eliminate those things, you definitely can with whatever piece of armor. And right now, as you can see, okay, we got a heavy chest plate, 47%. So this is the ideal one where you have like 32 to 33 in there, and that basically guarantees you a heavy item. The only thing is you have a 2% chance of getting a medium chest plate, which, bro, what are the odds of that happening? That's the one thing I don't like about this, how, you know, you can get medium tier stuff or, you know, just a normal knight chest plate, but it is very good regardless. Doing this, though, does lower you from the 30%, and you want to be above 30%. So I do highly recommend you go a little bit lower. That way you have exactly 30. Or, for example, in my opinion, the absolute best one you can put in is 10 Coin Knights as well as like 23 Gargantuan. This gives you the same exact chances as the one I was showing you earlier, except, you know, you have that 30% Coin Knight. Coin Knight does still stack regardless. It's just that this current value list or this forge calculator I'm showing you doesn't account for how much it increases per Coin Knight added into the crafting. So technically, the highest multiplier you can get while doing this and making it beneficial is going to be 17.73 times. Now, how much will that actually be worth by itself before you multiply it by 15 times for the Coin Knight ore? The way to figure that out is actually super easy. Now, I will say you have to go to your forge section, and depending on what you have unlocked, which I have not managed to get a raven item, unfortunately. So the highest thing I have is a wolf chestplate, and that's fine. It's still going to be worth so much. The way you calculate it is pretty simple. You get the base price, which is 1355, and multiply it by what we had. And for us, the multiplier in this scenario is 17.73 times. That makes our armor piece just by itself be worth around 24,024 shekels or gems or coins, whatever you want to call it. But that is where the coinite kicks in with its multiplicative multiplier, and it goes up so much, bro. To do that, you literally just multiply by 15 because we're guaranteed to get the 15 times multiplier. And boom, bro, this single piece of armor can be worth 360,000. And obviously, like I said, you do have to assume it's made out of gargantuan. So obviously not something realistic. And that's why I have some other ways to craft this. With the most recent update, this cave getting introduced, they have actually added some new ores. And not only that, but they have made some of the older ones a lot easier to get. For example, gargantuan is much easier to get from this world than it is all the way up there, you know, mining the floating crystals. I'm pretty sure large crystals and the cores inside of this area have the same multiplier as the floating crystals all the way up in the peak. But if you go ahead, use your luck potions and start mining anything in here, you will find yourself to have much better items that you can get. And this is exactly how you get the coinite too. So it's kind of a two birds, one stone type of thing. You're getting good ores and you're also getting the coinite that you desperately need. And coinite's not very easy, so you're not able to do this very frequently, but that's also fine because it takes a while to get good ores that are actually worth using the coinite on. And breaking this, I believe we're getting one of the brand new ores as well as some frost fossils. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. Come on. And yes, as you can see, we got this thing called the Gula Bite. I'm sure this thing has some perks or something, bro. But the Gula Bite itself, this thing has a 9.99 times multiplier, which is genuinely pretty good. This allows us to replace the gargantuan with this Gula Bite. So let's go ahead and put in all of those. It's one of the most worthy ores, and I believe I had like 24 in there. So with this, obviously a lot lower of a multiplier, but 7x, let's see how much this would be worth. Assuming you're getting the wolf chestplate, 133 or 1355 times 7 point, I forgot. Oh, it was 7.35x. And then you go ahead and add this. So this is base price, basically 10,000. Multiply that by the 15. And as you can see, this thing by itself, once again, worth well over 100,000, 149,000. This obviously is very overpowered. However, I do have to say I would not disclose this as the best grinding method for money. This thing is very good if you can go ahead and save up a bunch of ores that you know you're not going to use and that are worth very high multipliers. For example, the Golobite's a great example. Now, there's some actually great other ones that you can consider, such as the Golem Heart. This thing has a 10 times multiplier, and you are also able to use like a multiple, you know, different types of ores on top of the coinites. Just make sure you have 10 coinites with 24 different ores, as high of a multiplier as possible. But like I said, Golem is one of my favorites, 10x multiplier on it. Yeti is pretty good too, 7.7 times, and they're very easy to kill. For me personally, since I do have lifesteal on my, you know, sword, I am able to just stand here and swing at them, and they do both die, and they have a very, very high chance of dropping this Yeti heart. So let's see if we can go ahead and pull it off first try here with both of them. They also respawn very fast. I believe like every 15 seconds. Okay, we didn't get one from the first one. Oh my god, none? Okay, I swear it's very easy, bro. Why do you think I have so many? Okay, hold on. Let's wait for some more to spawn. That way we can kill them. All right, here they are. They came back literally after like 5 seconds. But there we go. We're about to kill them. And there it is. We just pulled off a Yeti heart right there. It's that simple. It's super easy to get. Most of the time, I tend to get 2 at a time. So I'm surprised they might have nerfed it or something. But obviously, you can also utilize the Golem Heart. However, like I said, this guy has a way lower chance of dropping his thing. And not way lower, but I guess it's more so the fact that you fight him way less. But if you do need to stay away from the boss for a few seconds and heal up, this spot all the way at the top of the map works perfectly. He actually cannot attack you up there. Alright, bro, let me go ahead, jump this guy, and finish him off real quick. There we go. I killed him, and I actually surprisingly were able to get one of these. However, I will say it's not very common. But yeah, like I said, I recommend you go ahead, use 10 coinites at a time with 24 different types of ores in order to get the best possible chest plate. And obviously also have your Raven quest completed. That way, you know, there's always that possibility you somehow make a Raven chest plate out of this, because that'd be worth so much. But it's very good for making money occasionally when you need it and when you have extra resources just to throw away. If you enjoyed this video though, hurry up and watch this video on the screen right here. Please, I went ahead and picked it for you because I really think you're going to enjoy it, but pick it fast because this video is about to end. And until then, I'll catch you in this one. So click it. Bye.